won the co-reign. So have they transferred that over to the Superbike as well? Alistair Seeley? Jenny?
Possibly, yeah. He said he had a slipping clutch there, didn't he, in the Superstock race, and they fixed that. So who knows? Yeah, it'd be great if he could be in with a shout. Like you're saying with Peter, though, I'd also like see Peter up there. He needs to get one back, doesn't he? Because like you're saying, it's 2-0
on the
yeah.
right now.
I think with Alistair, you know, he's riding the stock bike, and no matter how you look at it, in many ways the bike can't be as good. But when it really gets to the nitty gritty, you're starting to push for them braking markers. You're on stock brakes. That's where the bike starts to make a difference. I think Alistair will hang in there at the beginning, and then when the pace really hots up, but it'd be a huge task for him to win on the stock bike. Like Lee says, you know, I think Dean Harrison is someone that we would all love to win. I don't know how many runner-up positions he has had. The fight he gave Richard Cooper in the Juniper Chicane on the last lap was a big lunge. It was committed, and that came from someone who really wants to win. He's maybe perhaps missed that racecraft on last laps before. Although he always tries, just hasn't been in the right place at the right time, and that was a lot of fight we've seen earlier. So maybe now is Dean's time.
But a hat-trick of Superbike wins would be very, very special for Michael Dunlop.
Davey Todd not winning the first one, Stephen? Sorry.
Right, okay.
Yes, sorry. Stephen made
a check in his ear right now.
Lee, we can get promoted next year.
Sorry, yeah.
Stephen,
sorry.
not like you to make a mistake.
It's been a long day. It's been a long day.
Superbike double on
Superbike
Saturday
double.
would be amazing for Michael Dunlop.
Yeah.
And like I say, he probably starts favourite, do we think?
By far, going off lap times, was he doing 4:17s?
Knocking on the door of the lap record.
That is very, very fast. So to be consistently churning them out, I know he had a car to catch, but he was doing the lap time on his own. And realistically, without the controversy aside, like Glenn said earlier, he had the speed to win that race, and he definitely has the speed to win this one. But Davey had a problem in that race as well, and we don't really know what. We haven't seen the best version of Peter Hickman yet, so it's pretty much wide open.
I think we can be sure there aren't there. If there's any chicane shenanigans, there's going to be a foot down for sure.
Let's have no more controversy or drama.
No one mentioned chicane, shortcuts, stopping, foot down, whatever.
Definitely not. Glenn, Jenny, Lee, thank you very much indeed. It's the Northwest 200. It is the biggest and most important race of the day, and we are set for a thrilling finale.
I thought that those guys were down there supposed to make Stephen look good. Just gone and tried tripping him up. Must have been thrown under the bus.
I'm not even getting involved in it on this one. I think we'll let them get on with it down there.
But in fairness, Michael, he did win the Super Sport, didn't he?
He did. It is quite a long day when you're down there in the thick of it all day long without any kind of a break for the teams as well. I mean, when you consider they came across from BSB, a lot of these guys, and they floated across the channel, they've flown in, they've driven in, right off the back of Oulton Park, and it was a dramatic and traumatising Oulton Park that a lot of teams, when they got here, they were already absolutely knackered, and now we're in a situation where we've had a whole week here. There's a lot of PR to be done, there's a lot of events to be done, there's a lot of nighttime events to be covered as well. So a lot of these riders and teams are going to be pretty much extended, I would say, and ready for that boat tomorrow to get the trucks on.
I think they'll be ready for the dinner tonight and the pint.
Yeah, but then they've got to get home and get out of here. So
when is Donington? 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's a lot of tired people, that's for sure. And it's always the same, isn't it? You build yourself up. The main race of the day is at the hardest time of the day. You've done all that qualifying, all that practice, all that racing, but now the main event, you've got to peak on a Saturday, late in the day, when you're the most tired, the most traumatised perhaps with what's gone on, and worried about whether you've done enough to get the bike set in the right way. And I'm not just talking about the riders, I'm talking about technicians as well. Just all those tweaks. If this man, have Honda relayed those tweaks that they made on the Superstock bike to this Superbike, can they relay those tweaks? Is it possible to make the Superbike as good as that Superstock bike was in the win?
I think they can go in the same direction. It might be a different way of doing it, but whatever they did to the stopper, I think they could.
Well, they made it work in the Superstock bike. It wasn't waggling around in the wind at all. And if that's the case, then Dean Harrison is on for a win in this race. If it handles in the same manner over these 6 laps, then he's not, is the way that I see it. It's pretty plain and simple. This man, Michael Dunlop, he wants to win the feature race, no doubt about
it. His performance was incredible, wasn't it, in the first one?
Well, his motorbike is fast. It's the fastest BMW out there through the speed trap. I know that's not indicative of how it might work in other areas on the racetrack, but clearly it's a quick motorbike that works very well and it's quite well sorted. Davey Todd has got other areas that he's particularly good in that he might be able to make work. I still feel that the 32 degrees that we've now dropped to track temperature, that favours really the tyres to be just that little bit less likely to be giving up by the time we get to lap 6. So, Scott Redding, I'm told, will be holding up the 2-minute board, so I hope we see that. He's a very popular man, Scott Redding. Been a little bit off the pace in the last couple of years, but a superb rider and Grand Prix winner. And a man who should have won the Moto2 Championship a few years ago as well. I thought he was going to at one particular point. So Scott Redding is a hell of a rider. There he is. Got his bucket hat on. Scott Redding. I wonder what he's made of it all day long. He was pretty scared when he saw the Super Twins race, but since then he's had a Super Stock and a Superbike race to watch as well.
Carl Wright.
Yeah, Carl Wright was stunned by it all as well. I think the first time we've kind of got used to it being here, the three of us, joining me, Keith Ewan here in the commentary box is Steve Parrish, obviously, and Philip McCallan as well. I mean, we're immune, but newcomers here, their mouths are open.
Well, you know, obviously I lived here and I was watching at the Northwest and stuff, but even the first time I rode here, I remember thinking, you know, this is like a motorway compared to some of our national road races.
Well,
and
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
You
very,
know,
very, very good point. I hadn't considered that.
and you know, then the speed of it, like where else in the world can you do? We did actually, one of my years I managed to get 201 mile an hour going towards Coleraine. So we were up, not in the speeds they are today, but it was like, was unbelievable. The Joy Dunlop to get there, so to be right on the same track as Joy Dunlop and the same race that was enough for me.
It's a bit special.
We spent all our lives being told off to go slow on your motorbike, and then you sit here and someone tells you go as fast as you can around a road.
Yeah, well, I think I've never had any trouble with either of those, so we probably shouldn't go there. But the Northwest 200 then, the Superbike race, it is the finale, it is the feature race, it is the one that everybody wants to win every single year. This is what you build yourself up to. It is a forerunner, of course, as well as we go to the TT in a few weeks' time, which is really important. So it's indicative of what we might have on the roads. Okay, we're nearly 9 miles here, 37 3/4 miles as the Isle of Man will be, but most people looking at this will be considering what goes on in the Isle of Man when we get to the TT races. Who's it going to be? Who's your money on, Steve?
I am going to go for Michael Dunlop, and I know that sounds like he's the favourite.
Philip, I know you've already said, but repeat.
I was going to go for Dunlop as well.
Oh, that's okay. You can have Dunlop as well. I'm gonna have my fingers crossed and a wish for Dean Harrison.
Yeah, it's a good fair.
I said right at the very beginning, if they've managed to sort that bike out, if it's a bit more stable, I think Dean Harrison, certain sectors he is particularly fast in.
I think
Here we go then. Watch the lights. Last into the braking area. Watch to see if there's any mistakes here. And we've seen them so many times at York. No, the front boys are all through there nice and neat and tidy. Up towards Mill Road roundabout we go now. Great start from Peter Hickman.
It's the first time Todd's been beaten all day long.
Yeah, and who was it who had some money on Peter Hickman down there? I seem to remember. The prediction was Peter Hickman. Glenn Irwin, exactly. He's been getting it right all day long. Glenn maybe ought to go and sit out of the Bet McLean chicane and put a few more monies on it.
Yeah, I think Peter, look at him go, you know, he's had some bad luck, he's had things go wrong, so...
Hang on though,
When-
No, hang on,
Todd's
what?
done it.
Yeah, so he
Todd's
must have
been
been
going into the bottom corner.
He must have been-
Seen he's going into second.
Yeah, that was so. Peter Hickman was beaten up there. Must have been at York Road. We didn't quite see where he was passed by his teammate David Todd, but David Todd is definitely in front. Well, I won't say it's a shame. Here comes Seeley. Seeley goes to the front. Seeley is looking. No, he hasn't. There we are up the front there. We're looking at the wrong one. That is Hickman out front.
Wow, what a start that was. You're right.
That's Davy
No,
Todd.
it's David Todd out front. It is. Well,
Yeah,
how
you know-
did he do that?
Davy,
It's going to take some working out.
you know, he's a confident, good rider, he's not afraid to
Oh, hang on,
lead.
Hickman's got his
He's got
foot
a
out.
problem, he's got a problem.
Hickman has got a problem, he's got his leg out, so Hickman is out of the race at University on the opening lap. Well, that is a disaster for the 810 Racing Team machine. He got a great start down into York. We didn't see how or what the circumstances were for the 74 by Davy Todd, his teammate, to pass him, but now Todd is on his way. So we'll
Poor
blame
old
Glenn
Peter
Irwin for
Hickman's
making
a
the
nightmare.
prediction.
Peter Hickman's just not had it this week.
No, it's not had a good
Not
day.
worked for him.
Not a good day today, that is for certain. This is the one that you want to win. David Todd is off the front. will he be able to make a break here? They reckon that the Metzler switches on really quickly as far as grip is concerned on the opening lap, whereas the Dunlop might take a little longer to come to him.
Getting stopped.
No problem.
No, he's accelerating good and he's braking good obviously as well, so there's Michael coming through now. He needs to get tucked in now. Some speed.
That'll hurt across there as well. Somebody taken to the grass at the chicane. Dean Harrison's the man you've got to watch for, though. He's got to close in at the front if he can.
Dunlop was 5th through the speed trap, 200 miles an hour. 200 McGuinness was fast through the speed trap as well. Which not only they're getting pushed on, obviously down at Metro.
Oh, that's properly in the field.
Oh, that's
62. That is.
Well, I can tell you exactly.
Yeah, that's Bottilaca.
The Italian. Well, he's gone farming. You wouldn't want to be doing that with an expensive
I
motorcycle.
don't know where he could get into that field.
Yeah, I don't know how he could have done. Anyway, Davey Todd down at Metropole for the first time. Dean Harrison is in second place on bike number 3. Then it is the SMS machine of Alistair Seeley. There's John McGuinness going through, and followed by his old 53-year-old mate, Michael Rutter. So McGuinness and Rutter, the two 53-year-olds, they're always joined at the hip, those two, fighting for a position.
Yeah, either at the front of the grid or the back.
There'll be a bet on it somewhere.
The thing is, when we saw what Michael did in the first race, this isn't anything like the distance he had to
Davy
make.
Todd, Dean
That's
Harrison,
not
Alistair
bad.
Seeley, Michael Dunlop, John McGuinness, Michael
That's it.
Rutter,
That is
John-
the right game.
Like, let's not forget that Davy Todd reckoned his bike went off, and that
He did, yeah.
that helped it close in. But we can see there's Michael coming through already.
and John McGuinness, Michael Rutter, Josh Brooks, and
Seeley's
8th.
having, I mean, honestly,
Nervous
that's a good ride from Alistair Seeley again. I mean, it
ninth,
just goes to show that the Wizard knows what he's doing around this racetrack.
somebody else, and
He
10th.
can handle that super stock bike, he can pull it around, and he's just the right size to get tucked in for the long straights. And look, Dean Harrison is closing in, I believe.
Yeah.
Michael Dunlop's past Seeley down the straight there, Slipstream City. He's up there, so he's now 3rd on the road, Michael Dunlop.
Yeah, Superstock versus a superbike as well sorted as Dunlop's isn't going to be a competition, really, is it? Seeley might enjoy it at the moment, plus the fact we expect brakes to go off a little bit later on in the race on a Superstocker. They're just not quite as good as the full factory superbike brakes. That's
Dean Harrison's going to catch up with Harrison, and then what I think and hope will happen, he'll pull Harrison back onto the back wheel of Davy Todd. So what we have is hopefully 3 bikes for a little period together. I'm sure Michael will soon pull out after that, but if he has pulled Dean Harrison back onto the back of Davy Todd, it'll make for a good race.
This is a superbike race, final race of the
8/10
week,
last time through the speed trap and the
Two.
centre time of Todd versus
lap
Harrison.
2 of
Seeley
6.
is just a little bit further back, or was, but we know that Dunlop has now slid through into 3rd place. Seeley dropping behind him by a couple of tenths. At the Macroboy chicane, limits the big flat out blast down to Metropole. Here's John McGuinness holding up Josh Brooks.
Tell you what, Seeley has
Rutter.
used the slipstream of Michael to carry him up as well.
Yeah, he will do. Yeah, if he can stay with him on the coast road, he's going to work for him.
Harrison
Look at
has
this,
closed
yeah.
down Todd.
And look at Seeley. Michael hasn't put that much from
Oh,
him. Look,
a nice
he's
wide line.
the black line leaving there. He's
Yeah,
trying.
He's not shy, is he?
No, he's a good rider.
That's a fact. It's a bit of an understatement.
Yeah.
But it's good to see him back at this kind of competition as well.
This will maybe help him get a bike or get some help for the rest of the
Really
year.
hope so, because I think Seeley is a man that we need on the roads.
Yeah,
Up onto the coast then.
That's
Sun
good.
has just gone down a little bit. Sorry, Phil.
Dean Harrison is riding very, very good on that coast road.
He's looked sharp. The Hondas look good.
Yeah. And
This really
definitely that bike is much more stable than it was before.
Yeah, well, they managed to sort out the super stock bike, which I know is slightly different in lots of ways, but they must, whatever direction they found, they've transferred it, I think, onto the number 3 super bike we're looking at here, from Dean Harrison.
Harrison could do with making a break here, getting past Todd before Dunlop gets into play. He needs to get in front of Todd and get himself up the road, because Michael Dunlop, once he sniffs that win, he's going to be right on the case. End of the 2nd lap then. We start the 3rd lap now.
And that should be a fast lap from Harrison.
It is 4:17.348. That's 125.480 from Michael Dunlop, who has put the fastest time in. They're all in the 124s. And then you get back to Hutchinson, who's in the 122. So the top 4 men top the time sheets.
Yeah, Dunlop the fastest. He's pretty much equalled what he did in the first race. Michael Dunlop has now 4:17.
He's closing in
Glenn
there.
Irwin's lap record still sits there at 4:16.3737. He'll be hoping he goes away with that, I'm sure.
The two front men are way down on top end compared with Dunlop. Dunlop is in 203s, and they've
I suspect though he used Seeley for that.
indeed got a slipstream.
Lap
off
3
him
of
and,
6.
Pulled himself down towards University. He's
Michael
closing on
Rudders
these,
went
and
through the
he's got
speed trap
plenty
at the
of time to do it.
fastest,
The other thing is not to get too excited that you've got
203.416.
too much tyre. Dunlop is on Dunlops, and the last thing he wants to do is spin his tyres up and end up with a bike that hasn't got any boots under it.
I think, to be honest, he probably rode harder to come through in the first
For
race
sure.
with those overshoots and slip road stuff. So
That's my point.
So I think the car will be getting a little bit easier closing on these boys.
But he only needs to close bit by bit. He doesn't need to take great big handfuls of tyre out of it, really. Look at those two at the front now, side by side into the slipstream. In that narrow run down towards University, they really are beside each other. Who's going to be the best on the brakes? My bet's on Dean Harrison.
That Honda is definitely, it's not down on speed, is it, compared to the BMW?
And it's not waggling all the way down there like it was when it was next to a BMW before. Harrison gets to the front then. So Dean Harrison, he needed to do that. He needs to be away from Davey Todd. If Davey Todd has got a problem and it is slightly below par, Dean Harrison needs to get his head down now and get some momentum before Michael Dunlop catches him.
It's going good.
He's good on the brakes, but the worst thing that can happen here is that, for him, for Dean Harrison, is that Todd gets a slipstream and then mires him in the braking area, and that's exactly what's going to happen.
You see the slipstream effect there for the BMW.
Back in the zone.
But I'll tell you what, if we class the Northwest as a weak track for Michael Dunlop and he's going like that here, what's he not going to do when he gets to the Isle of Man?
Definitely laid the gloves down.
Well, he looked really dramatic from the moment we saw him out on the track, right at the very beginning in practice as he goes to the front.
When you see the Honda maybe pulling out,
He's got two bikes to pull him along, but I don't think he's going to make the distance. That BMW looks so quick up front. Dunlop's BMW
That's
just
fast.
stays
They're
out front.
getting a tow, but not much of one. As soon as they pull out, they can't do anything about it, can they?
So down towards University then, Dunlop leads, and he's holding it this time. Is Harrison going to get under Todd? No, he's not. Todd stays in second place.
I'll tell you what, they have to brake hard.
Well, that's where Harrison on the brakes is very good, but again, I keep saying it, so is Todd.
You see out of those certain corners, Todd just pulls up those few bike lengths on the BMW, but look now then, Dean's hard on the brakes, he's back in again, look at that.
Yeah, but watch Todd here, again, he launches off the corner. Look at the way it just drives off the corner.
I think against the Honda, it's seriously.
Hits it first. Dean Harrison next up in second place on bike number 3. Alistair Seeley still a long way ahead of Ian Hutchinson back in 4th place. Josh Brooks still 5th. John McGinnis still 6th.
The Honda just pulls back at the end of the straight, you see that?
And it looks stable. That was not the motorbike of Thursday.
They'll be well happy when they're watching that.
They will be, that's for sure. It's still a little lively looking down on it, but nothing like you had the other day through practice. It was a frightening looking animal. Down at University, hitting your marks onto the link road, new tarmac all the way over to the Ballysally roundabout. Alistair Seeley still there, 2.5 seconds off the front two riders.
Which is very good.
Oh, say that again, I think that's an undersale there, Philip. Hutchinson still in 4th place, Brooks still in 5th place. If you've just tuned in, Michael Dunlop is out. Broken down at the chicane. Todd. Question. Is Dean Harrison sitting there relaxed on the 5th lap of 6?
No.
No, I think he's scrambling to stay there, frankly, because I was surprised he didn't get past down the straight towards University. The BMW seems to be just putting the power down well. But still, Carl ride there, Glenn Irwin, Scott Reddy, it's like World Superbikes.
And that
I tell you what,
fellow in the barrier as well.
Look at Seeley, he's closed in a little bit, he's down to 2 seconds now.
Yeah, he's not 4/10 off in this last sector.
Davey Todd, Dean Harrison, Alistair Seeley, Josh Brooks, John McGuinness.
Well, it's coming down the left-hand side of the road there.
And his customer, Michael Rudder.
Move into Metropole Corner here. A bit of afterburner going on there. It's, Dean Harrison Harrison looks smooth. He doesn't look out of control anywhere either. He looks comfortable in second place.
I can't really figure out what's wrong because look, and that's straight really from coming back from the magic roundabout. Davy Todd, look, he's pulling distance that he wasn't pulling before, but it seems to be you would think the Honda's going a little bit slower, and he's got to make it all. Dean's got to make it all up on the brakes. Then look, whereas before he was definitely much closer to the back of the bike.
I agree. I think Todd's just.
He's back in fourth place.
Alright, well now we're going to find out if Dino had got anything up his sleeve.
Here's Hutchie. And he is in fourth place. It's a good lonely ride from him. Another great ride from Hutchinson. He's back.
To get a third and a fourth is definitely very, very good.
But it's about Davy Todd. One mistake, that's all it takes when somebody is this close on your tail. One mistake, and Dean Harrison will be there. I don't think.
About to break away if he squeezes the lever anymore.
He's going to fool me if he's been sandbagging. I hope he is, because like you, I'd like to see him take a win.
Look at him, closing it down. But you watch this thing leap away now. The BMW just jumps out the slower speed corners. Can Dean Harrison get close enough to pick up a little bit of a toe? He doesn't look close enough to me, even though
I think Davy Todd's going to win
this.
this.
Red flag. Oh, we've got a red flag. That hopes we had of Dean Harrison getting with him and fighting on this last lap.
No, and no one will know, no matter what anyone says, we're not really going to know if he did have anything up his sleeve. To me, if I count there, Todd comes away from here with 99 northwest winds.
Well, that, I must
what a
say,
week he's had.
Is a slightly, apart from Davy Todd, disappointing end to what was building to be quite an exciting finale, because I just felt Dean Harrison had closed in on that last lap. Whether he's got enough in him to make the pass.
Seeley will be a happy man, won't he?
Yeah,
third place.
Seeley on that super stock machine there, couldn't do any more.
No.
It's a shame he had that clutch issue in the super stock race, because that would have been the one for him.
Yeah, look at the distance back to third and to fourth.
Hutchie, Brooks, McGuinness, 6. He'll be pleased with that. John McGuinness
so.
is 6.
Rutter in 8th place, so he's beaten his old mate. Connor Cummins 9th. Down through the order. Well, that's pretty much all she wrote. Fantastic event this has been for so many reasons. But it's kind of whetted our appetite for next year. What might it be?
And for the TT.
Indeed. Honda are going to be very happy with that result, if only for the fact they've got their motorbike pointing in a straight line around BMWs.
Yeah, I think them all would.
They've been called off here